Why is nobody talking about this? Charlie Munger. Billionaire investor Charlie Munger claims he has never been interested in comparing his fortune to that of others. Rather, he claims that his motive of amassing fortune has always been to secure independence, the ability to do anything he wants in business and in life, and he desires more people would follow in his footsteps. But wait, why would I compare myself to other if I am Munger and have everything I desire? But I'm sure he didn't mean it that way. According to Munger, the world is driven by jealousy rather than greed, and he believes that is one of the most serious issues, yet no one is talking about it. Let's have a look at his point of view. Envy causes conflict, and conflicts lead to additional conflicts, which makes it challenging to exist. The flow of exchange stops, as Russia has done with the UK and the US. The oil supply has been cut off, and these circumstances lead to volatility, which has a bad impact on the economy. But Charlie Munger has a perspective of his own. Let's have a look. In the future, there will be opportunities, periods that are easier and times that are harder. The assessment is that there is a more educated, aggressive, and numerous competition going through those opportunities. It's harder, of course. In the end, people will experience worse outcomes, because they always have. I believe that valuations will fluctuate, and there will always be a large number of intelligent players in this game of survival orchestrated by envy. The opportunities that we all remember came from a demoralizing period when roughly 90% of natural stock buyers got very discouraged with stocks. This is what created the opportunity for these fabulous records that my generation had. That was a rare opportunity that came to a rare group of people, of which I was one and Lauren was another. The opportunities now are much lower for those who start now, but there were huge opportunities back then with all this mass production. So, was it luck? I don't think so. As much as I respect the politicians and the technocrats who did it, including the Federal Reserve personnel, and as much as I believe that it was absolutely necessary that the danger they were avoiding was worse than the problems they caused, it was very peculiar, and it did have the unintended consequence of bailing out the wealthy in order to help the poor. And nobody was doing that because they loved the wealthy. They were simply acting because they had no other options and had to do something. Or it was envy, I presume. It was an accident that we had a severe recession, which was partly brought on by masculine stupidity, finance, and finality. When we ran out of tools and had to do something extremely strange that we'd never done before. That was a wise thing to do given the amount of trouble we were in. You have to remember that. We faced significant challenges, and I believe that both parties and our technocrats came together for the last time to help us resolve them. It was a very admirable moment for which you can all take pride, and I haven't felt proud of anything in politics since. I believe that inequality reached its peak because the government had no choice but to print a large amount of money. Of course, that bailed out asset values, but that was a fluke and they can really do more of it. They have already played that game to the extent that they really can. As a result, I don't think people who were concerned about inequality here should worry too much about a lot more of it from a lot more interest rate lowering because it's so natural. So far, it's played out in waves with the Democrats sometimes in power and the Republicans other times. During my lifetime, the country has run better because we had two parties, each of which was partially in charge. If either party had been completely in charge of all branches of government, I believe we would be much worse off today due to constant political squabbling. I also believe we had the right amount of society safety net. It would have been evil not to have one. The last time we had a third-party movement that chose one of the two parties who would not have otherwise been elected. We got one during the administrations of Abraham Lincoln, but it required a civil war to create it. I would prefer the two parties hated each other less than everyone was more rational because they don't like political excess and shouted epithets. But what can I do about them since we are in new territory? I can only be happy because we are a new country. I don't worry too much because I regret it as a Sanchez that a great nation will eventually be destroyed. We can escape what we have done. We just know we are in uncharted territory, and you know what this is all because of envy. According to Munger, envy is just built into the nature of things. The millionaire continued by saying that especially in light of the hardships suffered by earlier generations, he finds it incomprehensible why people today aren't happier with what they have. Munger, who experienced the Great Depressions, highlighted the improvement in living standards and lifespans since the 1800s by pointing to them as examples. But what does he really expect from us? To be happy with what we have or have what makes us happy? If you are looking for more of such great financial advice, all you need to do is click the subscription button and hit the bell icon so you get notified every time we bring you a chance to get rich. By the way, don't forget